49ers football in the 916.
Sactown Sports.
Feeding your passion for local sports in the afternoon. It's the Drive Guys with Kevin Gleason and Kyle Drake on your radio at 1140 a.m.
Streaming audio at SactownSports.com and the Sactown Sports app.
You can also watch the show on YouTube at Sactown Sports 1140. Here are the Drive Guys with Kevin Gleason and Kyle Drake.
And yes, the Kings are just one win away from completing a massively successful road trip. They wrap up the trip tonight against the Cavaliers in Cleveland right now. Kyle Draper and Drapes, I got to say, your individual one-loss record as a play-by-play guy has been skyrocketing on this trip. Well done.
I tell you, man, anytime a team is in the funk, in the drought, maybe your relationship is at home isn't going well, maybe your kid is doing bad at school, whatever it is, just holler at your boy and I'll turn that frown upside down. It's been tremendous on this road trip, man. It's been phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not to be Darren Downer, but it's going to be very tough tonight, you would think. Obviously, a very, very good team that defends at a high level. I think they're second in defensive rating. Yeah. But that's fine. I mean, let's face it. Nobody would want to admit this right now if you're a Kings fan, but even if the Kings come up short tonight, they've still had a great road trip. It'll be interesting to see if they can come home 6-1, however.
Yeah, I mean, they're almost playing with house money. Because if we went into this road trip and said they would be 5-2, everybody and their mom would have taken it. And the fact that they have a chance to go 6-1, and we talked about this last week, Whitey, too. You want to play a team when they're hot because eventually they're going to cool off again. And so I'm glad this Cleveland team isn't reeling right now. Remember, Miami was on a 7-game losing streak, and they came out like hungry wild animals. Mm-hmm. Cleveland's won 18 out of their last 22 games, 18-4. So they're feeling themselves right now. And so hopefully the Kings can come in and knock them off. I tell you what, you got a 5-hour flight back to Sacramento after this. Can you imagine if you get the win? How that flight is going to be, how much better you can sleep, enjoy the flight. Nobody's angry. Nobody's upset. So, no, I'm excited about this
one. What's going on? Why are they playing so much better to your eye? You've been with them now. Obviously, you're with them all the time, but you've been with them on the road. Why have they appeared to turn this season around to a degree?
Well, other than me being on the road with them.
Yeah, right. The obvious, sure.
I just think they are really locked in and connected right now. And I'm not saying it's the offense. I'm not saying it's the defense. I'm saying they are playing together as a team right now. You know, we had Keegan Murray, who is our all-world second-year player. He scored 5 points in 3 out of the last 4, and they've won all 3 games. Think about that. At the beginning of the season, nobody would have thought, oh, man, if Keegan struggles, only scores 5 points, you think that's a loss. The one game he went off, it was 33 against Miami. Nobody else really stepped up except him and Domas. I just think they're really connected right now. They know who they are. We talk about identity so much with this team. We know this team is an elite-level offensive team, but they've actually improved defensively, I think, over the last couple of games, too. And it's the effort. It's the compete level. And let's give De'Aaron Fox some credit, Whitey, because there's been some haters out there over the last few weeks when he was struggling a little bit. 11 steals in his last 2 games. That dude has raised his defensive intensity to a different level, and I think that's a big reason why they're on this winning streak that they are.
De'Aaron Fox, in not getting named to the All-Star team, he made some history in that. I don't know if you saw this. I saw this today in Anscape. De'Aaron Fox became the first player averaging 27 points and 5 assists on a winning team to not be selected to an All-Star team. I hadn't realized that, and I know we talked last week about, hey, you'd love both guys to be on the All-Star team, but they're not. Is there some upside there? Maybe they get some rest and maybe a little extra. They play a little extra edge. I mean, both those guys play with an edge most of the time anyway, but you could argue that, yeah, De'Aaron Fox has made certain that the rest of the league recognizes that they've made a mistake here.
Yeah, ever since being snubbed. Him and Domantas Sabonis, and I know we'll talk about Domas in a second, but De'Aaron Fox these last couple of games seems like a man on a mission out to prove, like we said, that he deserves to be an all-star. And what he did the other night in Chicago with his son right there celebrating his first birthday, I mean, he's just a joy to watch. And I give Mike Brown a lot of credit, too, because he was asked about De'Aaron Fox, and he talked about De'Aaron Fox, just how great not only of a player he is, but a person and how proud he is as a dad. And so I know the city of Sacramento, this is one thing I know about the city. I know I've only been there about 3 years or so, but we want players we can be proud of. And I can tell you, everybody on this team, they make us proud, especially De'Aaron Fox, who's the head of the Snake.
Going back to what you said about how they are playing better defensively, I would guess, if I had to guess, that's the biggest key. The fact that Mike Brown early in the year said, yeah, we were great last year, but we can't do it that way again. And you know, we had players pushing back on that a little bit, or at least just acknowledging, you know, it's kind of difficult to defend at the level they want us to defend when they're pushing pace. But here they are right now. They're 14th in offensive rating. I don't know, Kyle. I think if you told us before the season started they'd be 14th in offensive rating, we'd be going, oh my goodness, this is a disaster. But they're up to 17th in defensive rating, which isn't great. But for where they, compared to what they were last year, it is a marked improvement. And they seem to have just accepted the way Mike Brown wants them to play. They deserve the credit because they're the ones that have to start playing that way. And then with Herter and Barnes just playing much more consistently, more like last year, all of a sudden you've got last year's team plus a little better defensively, and that's a winning combination.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm going to give you a crazy stat, Whitey. Make sure you hear me out now.
All right.
People driving, people on the YouTube, people at their work right now. Over the last 5 games, so basically the start of this road trip we're talking. I know this is game 7 of a 7-game trip, but over the last 5 games, your Sacramento Kings are 5th in defensive rating in the NBA. 5th. That's right. I didn't say 15. I didn't say 25th. I said the Kings are 5th in defensive rating over the last 5 games.
There you go.
They've upped their defense on this road trip.
Don't you think that's huge, not only in terms of the fact that they're winning, but Mike Brown, I think, is being proven right. I mean, you know, for what he's been preaching all year long, we can't win that way. We can't win that way. And I think right now we can see that, okay, he was right all along. I think in some ways, in my opinion, he's doing a better job as a coach this year than he did last year.
Ooh, I like where you're going with this, actually, because I see what you're saying. Because when you look at last year, it was very early on. They went on that nice winning streak that they had. And then it just sort of, you know.
Everything came together.
Everything came together. This has been a more difficult, challenging year, I would say, for Mike Brown. And the fact that he has this team where it is right now, clearly a top 5 team in the Western Conference, you know, kudos to him. And so I agree with you to an extent. He could be doing a better job because here's the thing, Whitey. When you look at the expectations this year for this Sacramento Kings team, and especially the way they were playing in December and everybody was down and we need to make changes, it could have went sideways really quickly with this team. And for him and his staff and the players to stay together and now to play the way they are, I agree with you. You could argue he's doing a better job, you know, holding this team together, getting them to wins than he did a season ago.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, there's still a lot of pizza left in the box. We will see where they end up. But you mentioned Domas a moment ago. And I noticed something at the end of the Bulls game that I thought it was significant. Maybe I'm seeing things that aren't there, but it was, you know, late in the game when, remember, I think it was a 1-possession game at the time. And DeMar DeRozan drives and he misses a layup and he thought there was contact and the Kings get the rebound and they take it the other way. And at that point, it looks like, okay, they're going to, maybe it was like a 5-point game at that point. But you guys, the replay you had on NBC Sports California from above the glass, you could see DeRozan drives, misses. Domas, I don't even think he got the rebound. He contested. But then as the ball's going up the floor, Domas with both fists, he's like shakes him like, yeah. He didn't do anything. But you could just see that, man, that's a guy that knows, yes, we're going to win. And we love players that want to win as badly as we want our teams to win.
Yeah, and that's what impresses me the most about him. Because, you know, at times in the past, I've gotten on him. Others have gotten on him. Oh, dude, go out there and score 30. Go out there. He's the type, whatever it takes to win, that's what he's willing to do. You know, as long as the team, he doesn't worry about whether he gets his 30 points. He doesn't worry about whether, you know, he gets his 20 shots. He's completely happy if he scores 12 and they get a win. And this is what I'm talking about having players that you could be proud of, you know. For the most part, our guys compete every single night. We don't have a bunch of jerks in the locker room. They're not getting in trouble off the court. They're proud to be, they want to be in Sacramento too. Let me point that out.
Oh, it's huge.
You
Huge.
You got a bunch of guys that don't want to go anywhere come Thursday at the trade deadline. And so I know it's all feel good right now. Everybody's feeling good. The team has won 5 out of 6, I think it is. And everything is, A-OK, 6 out of 7. But you know what? It's a good time to be a King. And tonight's game, remember a couple of weeks ago, I said February can make or break the season.
Mm-hmm.
This would be a massive win tonight, because then you got Detroit coming in. And I know that's going to be a tough game because you just came off a road trip and everything like that. And then, bam, you're talking 8 out of 9 games. You're 8-1 over a 9-game streak, and you're feeling good about yourselves.
Yeah. I'll be very interested to see how they respond tonight, because as we said, you could understand last game of a trip against a really good team that's playing great, that defends. Things don't go your way. You could see that, all right, they still had a great trip. Yes, but if they come out, as you say, and they bring it tonight, make a statement tonight, that would be impressive. So looking forward to that. And I just think right now there's a lot of relief amongst fans, because the way they're playing now, and as we've said a million times, we know you haven't done anything yet. You got a ways to go.
Right.
But this is the way this year was supposed to go. The way they played of late, I think for most fans, it's like, yes, that's what we were hoping and frankly expecting to see this year.
Yeah, you're right. And it was befuddling.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season, like, what happened? Like, because they did not make wholesale changes. I will say this, and let's give Mike Brown some credit. I wasn't exactly on board with this, but it has proven to work out. He has shortened the rotation, and he's gone back to the guys that we know, the guys from last year. Look at all the guys that are in the rotation right now. My guy, Chris Duarte, who I love, hasn't been in the rotation. Sasha's obviously been out with the injury, but he's turned back to a guy like Davion Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
He's stuck with Harrison Barnes. This is the same team that won 48 games, finished third in the Western Conference last year. And so Mike Brown could have hit the panic button, could have, made some changes to the lineup, could have made some trades with Monty or something like that. But he's stuck with what we have here. And I give him and the players credit, Whitey, because me and you and the millions of Kings fans out there, we were on the roller coaster, big fella. We were, with every win and loss, we were like, oh, we got to blow it up. Yeah. We got to go get Jeremy. Like, how many names did we talk about? Dude, we were but they just stayed the course, and it's paying off right now.
Yeah. We need a Sasha update. If you got one, Drapes, we'll take a quick time out. The latest on Sasha, his potential availability for tonight. And with the deadline looming, we'll look at another name that's been linked to the Kings today. When we come right back, it's the Drive Guys getting you ready for the Kings and the Cavs tonight. Sactown Sports.
Keegan Murray plays here.
Keegan scores another three-pointer. Keegan Murray knocking it down for 23 points. Snatch De'Aaron Fox for game scoring honors.
Sactown Sports is your proud home of the Sacramento Kings.
Capital Casino has been serving the greater Sacramento area in the same convenient downtown location for over 20 years, with plenty of close-by, well-lit parking monitored by security staff and offering the most variety of table games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. Best food, best service, and the best action. That's Capital Casino. For more information on tournaments and gaming, check out their website at capital-casino.com. And please remember to gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
At Ashton & Price, over the last 25 years, we've won just about every injury case you can think of. Slip and fall, falling merchandise, fell through rotted decking, we won those. Dangerous stairs, falls into holes, dog bites, won them. Injured while pedestrian or on a bicycle, auto, motorcycle, big rig, company vehicle, Uber, or Lyft accident, we've won them all. And the best news is there's no fee until you win. So no matter how you got injured,
remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
Sactown Sports will be road tripping to Vegas to cover the big game. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube, your place to take your car before your
and so much more. The Drive Guys on Sactown Sports.
Hey, you want to go skiing? We have here a pair of lift tickets to Sierra Tahoe. Pull up, park, ski. It's that easy at Sierra Tahoe. Sactown Sports teaming up with Sierra at Tahoe this winter. All you have to do is hit up the Folsom Lake Honda hotline right now, looking for caller number. What do you think, Kyle Draper? What number?
Let's see. Can we do 13 or
13.
no? That's too many.
That's all right.
Now you're making me work back here.
13. Taylor Swift's number. So I'm a Swiftie, so we're going to go with 13 today.
Yeah.
How about that?
Caller number 13, after all, record of the year winner last night. To win a pair of lift tickets, experience Sierra at Tahoe this winter. Lots of snow up there, new snow. Drapes, man, hopefully everything's okay at your homestead. The windstorm that came ripping through Sacramento yesterday afternoon and last night, it was unbelievable. I was just, it's one of those days you get up, whoo, my fences are still standing. I know a lot of people weren't so fortunate, but man, we had a massive storm Saturday night into Sunday and then a huge windstorm yesterday.
I heard about it, man.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of people without power and everything like that. Fortunately, back at my homestead, I think everything's okay. But yeah, that usually doesn't happen in Sacramento, right? That kind of storm that blew through. That was pretty hellacious.
Yeah,
So,
it was. Yeah.
Everybody I know is safe though.
Good.
So hope everybody's safe out there.
All right. So the deadline is rapidly approaching. Kyle, I was thinking about this today, and obviously the Kings are smart. You look at Monty, the moves he's made, and they've been, for the most part, very solid, which is, great. And it kind of stands out when you look at Kings history. It's like, that's not always done that way. So that's terrific. But I was thinking of this. The Kings, you don't want to make the mistake that the Giants made last year. Remember the Giants last year looked like, wow, they're going to be pretty good. And then they got to the trade deadline in July, and they thought, I don't think we need to do anything. And they weren't that good. They didn't do much. And then, their true colors were revealed second half of the season and they fell out of it. So you want to do what you need to get done. I don't know though, if we're going to be getting anything major done. Kyle Kuzma's name still getting kicked around. Where do you think that whole thing is?
I know nothing.
Yeah.
Regarding this, but my own personal belief is that there's not much to it.
Mm-hmm.
I know we mentioned last week the Kings were the favorite to land him. I think some new odds came out. I didn't get a chance to check it. I just don't see it happening. I just don't see Kyle Kuzma being the guy that takes us over the hump from where we are now to a championship contender. And if you bring a guy like Kyle Kuzma in, Whitey, then I think you're pretty much done. Like that, you've maximized the top level of your roster. And is that good enough to get it done? I think ultimately we need to see who's Keegan Murray going to be. And so that's why I think over this next trade deadline, this offseason, I don't think it'll be any major fireworks. I think there will be moves that bolster this team, bolster the depth on this team, but I don't think it'll be any top level tier moves until we know for sure what we have in Keegan Murray, because I think Monty and them, they're playing the longer term game. It's not just, we want to go for it right now. I think they want sustained success. And so I don't know if bringing Kyle Kuzma in helps you do that. I mean, I think when you look at this team, you don't know what Keegan Murray is going to be. Let me ask you this. We talked about Pascal Siakam, Jeremy Grant. Is it our belief that Keegan Murray can be as good or better than those guys? Same thing with Kyle Kuzma. Is it our belief that Keegan Murray can be better than Kyle Kuzma?
Could be. That's the plan. Yeah.
Right. Well, then that's the plan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you need to go out and get Kyle Kuzma.
Right.
Because to me, Kyle Kuzma takes away from that growth and development. And now is Kyle Kuzma going to come here and be happy being a fourth option? And so that's why I think it really depends on what Keegan Murray becomes. Because if he becomes better than all those players I just mentioned, then you got a legit top 2, top 3, a big 3. And then you can fill in with the side items. I keep bringing up Matisse Thybulle. Please, Monty, please go get Matisse Thybulle. He is my number one trade guy I want them to get right now.
We have another name along those lines. I'm sure you've seen it. A lot of Kings fans are actually getting a little bit enthused about this. Before we get to that, though, to your point about Kuzma, The Athletic is reporting that the Mavs have been active as the deadline approaches. The team is most interested in a tall 4 Ideally, with two-way ability, solid spot-up shooting. If that's going to be Kyle Kuzma or not, I don't know. But I think there are probably teams that are more interested in Kuzma than the Kings are at this point. So I'm with you. I think it's unlikely they end up getting him. But how about this guy? This is from Michael Scotto, Hoops Hype. He says, DeLon Wright has drawn trade interest from the Celtics, Kings, and Timberwolves. The Nuggets also mentioned recently by Mark Stein. He, of course, was acquired by the Kings at the deadline in the 2020-21 season, played 27 games here. He can play either guard position. He's shooting the three ball well this year. He's not shooting much else very well. He can defend. What do you think of DeLon Wright?
I think that's a low-risk move. I don't think you have to give up anything. I think that's a solid rotation player. I thought he was actually good in his time here in Sacramento, and I hated to see him go. I think he's a backup point guard for you. And then, you know, to me, that would signal maybe Davion's not the guy for you. I know you talked about him being able to play both guard positions, but you got Malik Monk already there. And so I think he would be a backup point guard for you behind De'Aaron Fox. Solid move, but I'm going to keep it real with you, Whitey, because I always do. I'm not going to turn on the Woj alerts for that. I'm just, DeLon Wright is a nice player, solid player, but that's not going to take us from 48 wins to 55 wins all of a sudden. And so solid move. Okay. Now tell me what else you're going to do, Monty. That's just my belief. And this is nothing against DeLon. I told you, I like him as a player. I just don't, would I rather have him or Matisse Thybulle?
Sure.
That's how I weigh it. And so solid player, but just another depth piece, I think, for this team.
Definitely. He's 6'5". All the numbers you look at say he's a good defender, not just an okay defender, but a good defender. I could see a rangy guy who can play either guard position. As you said, he didn't take you from, 48 to 55. He might get you from 48 to 49 or 50, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I think he's a really good fit if it comes to that. And if it's a second rounder, you're right. I mean, that creates an issue with Davion. But let's say if it's a second rounder, I would have no problem giving up a second rounder for a guy like DeLon Wright, because what are the odds that any second rounder is going to end up being as good as him? It's kind of iffy. So it's a very sensible deal. Not splashy, but very sensible if it comes to that.
Yeah, and I will say this, though. Because, knowing DeLon Wright, we saw him obviously here in Sacramento. He's a heady player. And so one thing I know about him from watching him and watching his career, he's not going to hurt you.
Right.
You know what I mean? You put him in, he's going to be solid. He's going to run the offense. He's going to defend. He's going to knock down some shots. He's just a solid backup point guard, I think, in this league. And so I think when you talk about competing for a championship, we have to get to a point where our bench becomes solid, dependable, won't hurt us. There are times where our bench just disappears, And so I think that's part of the upgrade of the roster. You're always looking to upgrade the roster. And so I would not be against that move either.
Yeah. As we've discussed, I know we were talking with Mark Boyle of the Pacers about this. For most of the year, you had basically 40% of your starting lineup just disappeared. And now, okay, they're back. So I think everybody's pretty comfortable with the starting lineup. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Dale joins us on Sactown Sports. Hello, Dale. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. How'd your homestead make it through the storms?
Oh man, I had no power for like 9 hours.
Oh man, 9 hours! Yikes!
Yeah, it was tough. Yeah. My refrigerator is now deep thawed. It's thawed out.
Yeah. Oh man, had to throw away food and stuff there.
Absolutely, the whole thing.
Man.
Yeah, I had to throw it all away. All right. Anyway, guys. Okay. Just quickly on De'Aaron not making the All-Star team. I think that what he's up against is that he is listed as a point guard, right? And he's not a very good point guard. I mean, you even cited his stat, 5 assists per game. That is not very good for a point guard. I think he's a way better too. And maybe we're looking for the wrong piece when we're talking about trades. Why not bump him to the 2? Bring in a guy who can get a lot of assists. And I know there's a lot of stuff to be said. It's a great fit, not a great fit, this guy or that guy. You know what's a great fit? Nikola Jokic. He's a great fit. We're not going to get him, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, right. But that's my point. Is that if we landed somebody who was going to, be able to provide 20, 25 points a game, and then forget about the bench. Styles and Watkins were talking about the possibility of bringing Jimmy Butler here. If that was a possibility, I'd say.
What are we
doing?
They
were.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Gosh.
Is that what we're doing on Cage TK, Whitey? Are we just
Thank you,
throwing
Dale.
out names? Thank you, Dale. I got to cut you off, man. Is that what we're doing out here? Oh, my gosh. First of all, let's respond to what Dale is saying. When you play with Domantas Sabonis and you run your offense through him, Dale, your point guard is not going to get 8, 9, 10, 12 assists a game. And that's just the way the whole roster is set up. It's to play off Domantas Sabonis. Look at Nikola Jokic. He's their point guard. You know how many assists Jamal Murray averages? I got it right here in front of me. Jamal Murray averages 6. He's at 6.6.
Okay, 6.6.
4.4 for his career. De'Aaron's at 5 and something. And so I just think, it's when you have an elite passing big man like the Kings do, the assist from your point guard, you don't need your traditional dribble it around, run the offense point guard, because that's not De'Aaron. De'Aaron's job, let's keep it real, Whitey. De'Aaron's job in this offense is to get buckets, is to be an elite scorer, because he's playing off Domantas Sabonis. Secondary, it's to get the other guys involved. It's to, become a facilitator, that kind of thing. But ultimately, his number one job duty is to get buckets for this team, to score points for this team. And so I disagree with Dale. And what is Styles and Watkins doing bringing up Jimmy Butler? Come on, they might as well go out and get Kyrie next. Let's have a discussion about bringing Kyrie.
They're having fun.
All
yeah.
right.
I think there's something to what Dale said, but I don't think it's a problem. I agree with you. It's like, yeah, okay, but he's not supposed to be that prototypical point guard. And by the way, there are very few of those, but it's not an issue. And if you go out and get somebody who's going to average, I think Dale said, get somebody who's going to average 25 a game, then that's fewer shots for other people. So I don't think that really solves anything. Believe it or not, Drapes, we just have a few seconds left.
What?
Very, very short show today.
What about football? It's Super Bowl. I wanted to talk about my guy Brock Purdy. What are we doing?
We'll get to it tomorrow. I'll tell you about how Joe Montana says Brock Purdy. Even Brock Purdy reminds me of me. Yeah, so we got that coming up tomorrow. Have a great call. A great job, Drapes. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, my man. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah, stick around for game night next right here on Sactown Sports.
The San Francisco 49ers, the Kansas City Chiefs. It's Super Bowl 58, live from Las Vegas, Sunday, February 11th on Sactown Sports.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by the Arnold Law Firm.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center. Keep an eye to the sky today for showers on and off again. Maybe a rumble of thunder this afternoon. A chance for thunderstorms to develop, especially into the early evening. Storms could produce lightning, small hail, and brief heavy downpours. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
The recent storm has caused dangerous driving conditions for us. The Arnold Law Firm has seen how a collision can turn anyone's life upside down. Be alert and stay safe. The Arnold Law Firm, providing real justice for you since 1975. Call 916-777-7777.
I lock up my Old Spice Fiji aluminum-free dry spray to keep that 24/7 lasting freshness safe for myself. Fresh coconuts, palm trees in the wind. It's like catching waves in Fiji. Actually, I just talked myself into a refreshing spritz of Fiji. My Old Spice is missing! No!
Progressive presents Precious Moments.
Nothing beats driving cross-country in our RV.
This is so much fun, Dad. I don't even need to look at my phone.
It's not the destination, it's the journey. Jinx!
The exchange you just heard didn't actually happen, but it could. Bundle your home and other vehicles with Progressive and you could use the savings to make sure that RV is always ready to hit the road. Who knows? Your teenager might actually put down her phone for 5 minutes. It could happen. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for my friends at Fire Wings talking about Wings Day Wednesday. That's right, 88-cent wings every Wednesday. 3-flavor lineup includes 7 classic, 7 dry rub, and 7 fusion wing flavors. It's the perfect fast casual eating establishment for the entire family. A great place to watch and enjoy sports with friends. 21 delicious flavors to choose from. Save time. Order online for pickup or delivery. Just go to firewings.com or download the app. Find a location near you. Order online. Earn rewards. Fire Wings. Just wing it.
Brought to you by the Xfinity 10G network. Get a consistent and reliable connection so everyone can work, stream, and game all at the same time. The future starts now.
Sacramento's premier music festival, Country in the Park, is back. 2 big old nights, May 17th and 18th at Cal Expo with Brantley Gilbert, Dustin Lynch, Walker Hayes, and more. Plus line dancing, a mechanical bull, and Sacramento's best food trucks. One-day tickets are on sale now, starting at $46, or upgrade your experience with VIP or pit passes. Country in the Park, May 17th and 18th at Cal Expo. For more info, visit CITPfest.com.
Brought to you by Hubble Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave asking you, are you feeling the pain of paying more and more for your gas? PG&E has increased their rates 4 times in the last 5 years, and the new forecast says PG&E customers may see their bills increase 32% by 2026. The good thing is there are steps you can take to protect yourself from these rate hikes, and better yet, American Energy may be able to help you completely eliminate your gas bill with a new ultra-high efficiency comfort system. Did you know SMUD offers huge rebates to eliminate your old gas guzzler? They can help you guide through the whole process. Seriously, listen to me. You go to the SMUD website. There's tons of rebates available, but it is confusing on how to do it. Listen to these rebates. $2,500 from American Energy, $3,500 from SMUD, $1,000 from Caltech, $2,000 home system upgrades. That's $9,000 in rebates. Let American Energy help you out at 916-520-9990.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
The world has changed a lot these last few years. You can do pretty much anything from your home, including order your new Honda from Northern California's #1 Honda dealer, Stockton Honda. Check out our great selection at StocktonHonda.com or come in today and get pre-approved all in the blink of an eye. Stockton Honda makes buying a car simple and stress-free.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
Carmichael Dave here for Jiffy Lube, your proud sponsor of Sactown Sports 1140's road trip to Vegas for the big game. For all the latest game news to all the celebrity interviews from Media Row to all the festivities going on during game week, Sactown Sports has it all covered, just like Jiffy Lube, the place to go before you go on your next road trip. Oil changes, wiper blades, tire rotations, and more. Hey, for valuable coupons and a location near you, visit jiffylube.com.
It's time for game night, getting you ready for Sacramento Kings basketball.
He's got the bucket!
Game night is presented by Power Business Technology, your locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or visit them at powercopiers.com. Here's your host, Scott Marsh, alongside the high flyer, Henry Turner.
And a very pleasant good afternoon to you. Welcome into game night right here, coming to you live from the Sactown Sports 1140 studios. Kings and Cavs, Sacramento closing out the 7-game road trip. They've already had their best road trip in team history for a 7-game trip. They've never won 5 games on a 7-game trip before. A chance to do something absolutely remarkable to get their 6th win today, but no doubt it'll be the toughest of the 7 games. The Cavaliers are replaying remarkable basketball right now. They've won 13 of their last 14 games, and they've moved up into the top 4 in the Eastern Conference. We'll break it down all hour long, the high flyer and myself. And if you want to join us, you certainly can. 916-339-1140. You can call us. You can text us. Our YouTube chat is up as well. So log on to Sactown Sports at YouTube. Get into the chat. We've already got a lot of good conversation going on there as well. All right, the Kings setting themselves up with this with back-to-back wins on the road. How about that, high flyer? Back-to-back wins on the road. They've won 3 consecutive sets of back-to-backs, including in Chicago on Saturday. But I have to say, I was a little scared about that on Saturday night. They had the 30-point lead. They got all the way down to a 1-possession game. They hung on. I tell you what, I always, get PTSD. I'm thinking the Bulls are going to redo what the Kings did to them when the Kings were down 35 in Chicago. Remember that game many years ago, and the Kings made that historical comeback? I was afraid that might happen to the Kings on Saturday night, but they found a way to get the 123-115 win.
Yeah, it was definitely concerning, Scott, watching that basketball game. Well, when the Kings went up 30, you were definitely happy. You was feeling good. You were warm and fluffy about what was going on. But, once again, they hit a stagnant point. Couldn't score. Well, got to give Chicago credit.
Yes.
They ramped up the defense, start stopping the Kings a little bit, and then start turning them over, getting out in transition and getting baskets. But at some particular point, though, Scott, if you're on that Sacramento Kings team, you really have to understand time, pace, and score. All right. You have to look up and say, okay, we haven't scored and they've scored 5, or we haven't scored and they've scored 6, because when you get up that big of a lead, what great teams do is they just match you. They match you bucket for bucket, or even if they don't match you, okay, you hit 2, I hit 1, you hit 2, I hit 1. And by when the time runs out, they're still up 10 points.
Right.
But you can't just keep missing shots, turnover, miss shot, turnover, and they go and score on every possession. That's when it got hairy.
It got really hairy. It felt like Alex Caruso had like 40 deflections in that second half.
Bro had his hands on everything. And, I get kind of worried when I see the pace slow down. That's my problem with the Sacramento Kings. When I see them, they slow down and they say, okay, and the point guard start directing. When De'Aaron start going like this, hey, you get over there and you go over here and you go over there. I'm like, hey. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. That's not how we play. We come down and we read and we react. That's how we play. Calling out plays ain't what we do.
Nope, that's not Kings basketball. But certainly, despite that, and obviously, Vail McGee, he called out the team last time this happened. Good teams win when they, allow run backs.
They find a way
to win.
Right.
Great teams just blow out teams they're supposed to. When they get up on
they
them.
take care of business, Scott, and that is so true. And I've been guilty of saying this, and and I'll tell you what, I'll stand on business. The Sacramento Kings, they are a good team. A good team.
Yeah.
They're not a great team yet.
Yeah.
So they're doing good things. A good team will have clunkers along the way.
Yeah.
A good team is going to have, the Houstons. They're going to have the New Orleans. You're going to have the Portlands. Now, a great basketball team is not going to allow a team to come into the arena and they go down 20. They just don't do that. The Kings are trying to get there. I think, they will be there at some particular point, but as of right now, they are a good competitive team.
They are. And if we put it in perspective in terms of road wins, they have 15 road wins now. And that is second most in the Western Conference. The Timberwolves have one more at 16-10. The Kings are 15-11. So just like last year, they're proving that they can go out and get this done. For them to have a 5-1 road record on their longest road trip of the year, it's something we haven't seen in Sacramento in forever, really.
You know what, Scott? I can bet my bottom dollar on this one. I know Mike Brown has a smile on his face because, you have to understand, we just dropped 4 in a row. Dropped 4 in a row and then went to Golden State and got one. And then it was like, okay, we have to go out on this long road trip. You understand where your basketball team is, but basketball teams have ebbs and flows. He knows it. It's going to be a point in time to where the team plays great. And then you're going to have that time to where you're like, are you guys the same team? We're playing like dogs. But they went out on the road, Scott, and really came together and started playing great basketball exactly when they needed it. Because can you imagine losing 4, going to Golden State, and then starting off with another 4 that you lost?
No doubt.
They did exactly what the doctor ordered. Got right, started winning games.
Yep. 10 games above 500 now, 29-19, and they're 2 non-all-stars.
That hurt.
Playing great.
That hurt, man.
The Earn went for 41 on Saturday night. Delmas, just another triple-double for Sabonis.
And Scott, I heard the stat, and the stat just really drives it home about how ludicrous. Now, it's a travesty that Sabonis didn't make it.
Yeah, it is.
It's ludicrous that De'Aaron didn't make it. They were like, this is the first time in history any player on a winning team that's averaging 27 points, 5 rebounds and 5 assists,
doesn't get on.
Don't make the All-Star team.
Yeah.
I'm like, what more do you guys want? Think about that, Scott. Averaging 27, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and your team is winning. I mean, what else you have to do?
I don't know what more you could do, quite honestly.
I mean, you got to shake some more hands, kiss some more babies. What's going on around here?
Speaking of babies, De'Aaron's baby was sitting courtside.
I said some more babies. I said he kissed that one. He got to kiss a couple more babies in there.
To have his kid there, his first birthday, sitting courtside in Chicago. That was cool. By the way, the exact numbers on De'Aaron: 27.5 points, 5.4 assists, and nearly 2 steals a game. And he's had 11 steals in the past 2 games.
I mean, just been a straight thief out there. Give me that. Give me these. I'm taking that. You know, I try to look at it, Scott, as a blessing and a curse. The curse is he didn't make it.
Yeah.
The blessing is we have Angry Fox in the building. And I told you, I love Angry Fox.
Oh, no doubt.
Because Angry Fox make things happen. And I really think he won't say it, and he shouldn't, because he's doing the right thing. But he's letting his game tell you exactly how he feels. How many steals in the last 2 games?
11.
11. That's sending a presence by playing your game. That's letting everybody in the league know y'all messed up big time.
No question. The more chips on the shoulder, the better, especially with De'Aaron Fox. We know that about him for sure. And the bigger thing for De'Aaron, I mean, it would be great to make the All-Star team, and he's certainly deserving of it. But the one he really, really wants is All-NBA, because that affects his super max status. I mean, literally talking about $40-50 million swing, whether he gets on that All-NBA team. So that's the big one. Now, for Sabonis, he lost $1.3 million by not getting named an All-Star. I mean, that's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. But in the big picture of life, he already signed his super max. So
right. 40 or 50 million difference. I'm going out and getting 11 steals too, fella. I understand. D, I salute you, bro. I feel what you're doing. I smell what you're cooking.
That's why we see, like, with Tyrese and with Embiid, and it's really unfortunate. We're going to get into it, but Embiid having surgery after tearing some meniscus. But that's why they were trying to get to the 65-game minimum, because all NBA considerations for them, huge contract consideration, especially for Tyrese.
And, you know, and it's crazy. It's crazy that players have to do that. I understand the rule. Rules are rules. But, you know, I don't think the rule was made up for guys who were legitimately hurt. I think the rule was made up to really bolster the load management type situation that they have going.
They didn't think through all of the
ramifications of it. Exactly.
And you'll see some adjustments to it.
It's going to have to be.
Yeah, there's no doubt. The other thing about this trip, of course, it's been the Harrison Barnes reciting tour.
Oh, man.
Averaging over 18 points on the trip.
The Black Falcon has been reunited. Where has he been?
Yeah.
Welcome
back.
You know, Scott, this is a crazy thing right now, and especially around this time we had trade deadline, because, you know, everybody has been tossing around, okay, how can this team get better? And rightfully so, because, you know, we said the team is good, borderline working on trying to be great. And that might mean changing some players along the way. But it's funny how we talked about if Harrison Barnes and Kevin Huerter was at their average, we wouldn't be panicking talking about we need a change. We would be still riding that same mantra. Hey, man, we're going to spin the block with this crew right here because they're getting the job done. And we see right now when you get an engaged Harrison Barnes and then a Kevin Huerter who's knocking down some shots, because Kevin Huerter has always pulled the trigger. I'll give him that. He's always taking his shots. I mean, engaged Harrison Barnes to where he's not standing in the corner going 1 for 3. Right. Okay, he's coming out and he's giving you 6 for 12. I'm with that.
Yeah. And even on Saturday night, he only had 11 points, but he took 10 field goal attempts. That's
that.
The baseline.
Yes. At least that lets me know you're trying.
Yeah.
You're giving yourself a chance. When you play 30 minutes, Scott, you stand in the corner, you go 1 for 3, 1 rebound, 1 assist. I could have got that out of Kessler Edwards.
You could move a couple steps back and just sit on the bench if you're going to do that.
And like I said, I could have got that out of Kessler Edwards.
No question. And with Huerter, it feels like the message, everything with Mike Brown and everything at the beginning of the year, obviously there was some tension there about whether he would start or not. But Kevin Huerter defensively has really stepped up too.
You know what? I think Kevin Huerter has to just have some confidence, because, Scott, it's hard to play, bro. It's very hard to play when you're known as a jump shooter. Your jump shot isn't falling.
Yep.
And then on the opposite side, your number one downfall is, he's not a great defender. So you always have that's going to be on your side. You're not a great defender and your shot's not falling. So your number one thing you're thinking, okay, my shot's not falling, but they cooking me on defense. Now you have two things you have to worry about, and you have to overcome two deficits before you even start playing decent basketball. So now he came out, he started knocking down shots, and I think the situation of him staying in the starting lineup, being secure, now he can say, okay, even if I don't knock the shot down at a high level, let me play a little defense.
Yeah.
Let me get a couple of steals, couple of rebounds, and that pads all those other bad feelings.
No question. All right. So the Kings hang on. They get a big win, 123-115. They're 5-1 on the road trip. Our look back over the weekend brought to you by Folsom Lake Honda. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. And as for the points in the paint, Kings lost that battle barely 52-50. We check that out after every game as well. That's brought to you by RT Painting, your reliable and trusted painter in the Sacramento market since 1998. All right. When we come back, we'll continue to look if the Kings can finish out their road trip at 6-1, we'll go around the league as well. Sacramento, 29-19. And if you want to join us, you can at 916-339-1140. We'd love to hear from you. High Flyer, myself will be with you until 3:30 today, getting you ready for Kings Live pregame. This is Game Night right here on Sactown Sports 1140.
The San Francisco 49ers, the Kansas City Chiefs.
There we go. Hello.
Kyle, how are you, my friend?
I am just doing gosh darn wonderful today.
Gosh darn wonderful.
Just so gosh
wow, that's
darn
fantastic
wonderful.
to hear.
Yeah.
You've got some pizza. You're feeling better.
Yes.
Okay,
excited to take on Cleveland. I didn't have any, Cleveland hat.
Right.
in
Where's
my-
your Browns helmet?
Well,
Or the dog pound shirt?
I didn't have that, but this is something that I've had for years that I love. If you're a
I see
hoop
it's
head,
in Adidas, but I can't read it.
it's the it says rookie, a player who is playing in their first year. If you'll remember, Donovan Mitchell wore that years ago when him and Ben Simmons were going after each other for the Rookie of the Year award.
Yes, good call.
So
right there. Okay,
I've
that's
had it for
perfect.
years. I loved it so much. It was so silly when it happened. So they're playing Cleveland.
They are. All right. What do we got going on in our chat this afternoon?
So we were just talking about Fox, obviously, a second ago, and the All-Star thing is what it is. We've talked about it a few times now. What's interesting though is that in the East we now have 2 injury replacements. So they're kind of the East is a they have very good players, but not as deep a field as the Western Conference when it comes to All-Stars.
Yeah, Embiid's out. Probably Trae Young's going to replace him,
and Julius Randle's going to be out. And they're talking about like Derek White might end up replacing him, or Porzingis or someone like that. And it's like there's so many great players in the Western Conference that aren't going to go to the All-Star game. And now the East is like scrambling at the bottom of the barrel to find All-Stars. It's funny how that's working out this year.
It is, because it feels like everybody on the Western squad will play.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there will be 1 or 2 and you can slide Sabonis in, because I think judging by the reactions of the All-Star teams, I think most people agree Sabonis is the odd man out in the West.
Between Fox and Sabonis, it's so close. But I think this year, and I know, Henry, you agree with this, I think Sabonis gets the slight nod over Fox if you had to choose one over the other.
Yeah, I would.
Not by much. I mean, it's by the hair of your chitty chin.
And I'll tell you what, if you keep letting them play a couple of more games, how many more games we have for All-Star?
So we've got the 2 games at home. It's next week. I'll add it
I
up.
think
Roughly
it's
5
5
games. Right?
or I think 6 after, or 5 after
tonight.
Six,
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I tell you what, you give it a good 3-4 more games.
It could change again.
Hey, by what De'Aaron Fox is doing out on the floor, it might change.
Hey, you couldn't
again.
argue either way with it.
Yeah,
I'm going 11 steals in 2 games.
Yeah.
How about saying 21 steals in 4 games? Like, wait a minute.
Brought it up in the last game. It's the second time any player in the league this year has had 40 points and 5 steals in a game.
That's what I'm saying. So he has time.
He does definitely have time. How about Doc Rivers? We'll get into this as well. All-Star game coach.
That was so funny.
Sign up, go 0 for 2.
Man got his
All-Star
key
game
card
coach.
a week ago. Got his key card a week ago, and he gets to coach the All-Star game.
There's something wrong.
You know
with
what? But didn't he say, though, to Doc's credit, didn't he say he was going to give the ring and the bonus back to
I don't know.
Yes,
If
he did
said
to
that. Okay.
Adrian Griffin. He
Okay.
did say
Adrian
that.
Griffin.
Okay.
I thought I seen that somewhere, and I thought that was a classy move.
I think the bonus is great. I don't know if I'd give up He's talking about if they win the championship.
No,
his
All-Star.
All-Star.
game.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
didn't even know they did All-Star.
Yeah, I didn't either, but
Okay.
I'm like, if he does do that, that's a classy move.
Yeah.
Restaurants to experience. Visit skyriver.com today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Welcome back into game night right here, Sactown Sports 1140. Scott Marshall on with the high flyer, Henry Turner. We're taking you until 3:30 today, getting you ready for the Kings and the Cavs. It's the 7th and final game of the road trip. Kings are back at Golden One Center on Wednesday. It'll take on the Pistons. It feels like it's been forever. Well, because it has been forever since we've been out at the arena.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
It's been a minute, but I'll tell you what, Scooter, if we can keep getting the same results, man, I'll keep sitting right here in this studio looking at your mug.
No doubt.
Give us the wins.
Hey, you'll make the sacrifice.
Yeah, I'll make a sacrifice.
It's a trade-off.
For sure.
All right. Game night brought to you by National Garage Door. Call today for your basketball special, 916-638-4554. And with the Kings going 5 of 6 on the road, we mentioned they're in the top 5 again in the Western Conference, 29-19. They are 3 games back of Denver in the loss column. There's 3 teams with 15 losses atop the conference: OKC, Minnesota, and the Clippers, who just continue to play incredible basketball right now. The Clips, winners of 8 of their last 10. They've won 25 of their last 30.
Man, they have found it. I mean, I look at Tyrone Lue and I'm like, he's a good coach. He's definitely a player's coach, has played in the league, understands, how to deal with different players, attitudes out there on the floor. So seeing that he has four all-stars to galvanize those guys together and get a little bit of each one of those guys to downplay their game a little bit to make the overall game better, you got to take your hat off to him.
No question. This is the best matchup of the night in the league. The Cavs have won 9 of their last 10. They've won 5 straight. They are streaking. They're 31-16. They're in 3rd place. They've passed Philly. They've passed New York. They're only behind the Celtics and the Bucks. And actually, they have less losses than the Bucks right now. Bucks have 17 losses on 33 wins. Cavs are 31-16. They have hit their stride, no doubt about it. And of course, they have their all-star, maybe their all-NBA first-team performer in the Spider, Donovan Mitchell.
Oh, man, D. Mitch is a freak. I mean, he has been one of the best 2 guards that have played in this league since D. Wade. To be able to do what he does out there on the floor as a shooting guard position. I mean, he gets it done all 3 ways. He's got the low post mid-range game. He's got the 3-point game. The dude can play on the defensive side. He can play bully ball. I mean, he can give it to you any way you want it.
No, he has been absolutely incredible for the Cavs. And, he's got De'Aaron Fox-like numbers, no doubt about it. We'll go through those in a little bit. Let's get to the phone lines. AC, welcome into game night. How are you, my friend?
Hey, appreciate you guys. And Henry, you're making me laugh out loud when you're talking about how many babies De'Aaron would have to kiss to get on the All-Star.
What do you think the number is, AC?
I was going to ask you guys, honestly, what do you think the Kings are going to do before the trade deadline? Do you think anything's going to happen? I mean, DeLon Wright is kind of a retread. We had him before. This is kind of like John Solomon's all over again. So what do you guys think? You think they'll stick with that, or you think they'll try to do something else?
Well, the honest truth is none of us know, right? Because we have no idea what's being offered. Monty McNair is so good at keeping things, below the vest on that one, literally below the vest, because he wears a vest every game. But AC, I'm going to throw this back on you. Would you like to see the Kings make a move? And I'll just throw that out there in general if anybody wants to call in on that, 916-339-1140. Henry, what are your thoughts? I really do think with HB stepping up like he has, it kind of changes the equation about the Kings needing to make a move versus maybe making a move.
It really does. I just said early on, if Harrison Barnes and Herter had been doing this all along, it wouldn't even be a question about spinning the block with the same squad. And you wouldn't even be talking about doing anything with the bench. I think the bench is solid. It's just all about how comfortable are they with the play of Harrison Barnes? How secure is the front office with the play of Harrison Barnes as of late? Do they think that he's going to, turn back into the pumpkin at midnight?
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot more games left. I mean, we got a lot more cereal in the bowl. So at this particular point, do they think they're going to ride out with them, or do you bring somebody in? Now, we talk about this all the time, the camaraderie factor.
Right.
That's huge. You just can't bring in anybody. So, you know, it's going to be a serious roll of the dice if they don't do anything. But I think it's more so a safe roll of the dice because Harrison Barnes is still playing pretty decent basketball.
No question. The Yahoo came out, reported last week that the Kings still have interest in Kyle Kuzma. Like, to me, that's a non-story because the Kings have had interest in Kyle Kuzma for years. That doesn't mean they're going to finally make a trade for him. Oh. But you know, that is a name that just seemingly never goes away in Sacramento Kings land.
And see, Scott, you know, what the fans have to understand is that, yes, you can throw out any name that you want and say, yes, we want him on this team. Didn't Kyle Kuzma just sign a very large contract
in the offseason?
And
he was a free agent. He could have gone anywhere he wanted, and he elected to stay in
right.
Washington.
So he signed a huge contract. Yeah. You're going to have to sign Keegan Murray. You're going to have to sign Monk. So, you know, even though he looks like the sexy pick right now, it might not work according for the numbers.
No question. And the big picture is Kuzma that player who puts you, quote unquote, over the top?
You know what? I'm not going to say he puts you over the top. Will he make you better? I think so. Mm-hmm. Now, are they looking for just one guy? I don't think it's one guy that's going to put us over the top, Scott. I think we're going to be two guys away from saying, okay, this team is not good now, it's great. You know, I don't think one player coming to this team is going to make us great. As I said, you know, if Golden State want to give up Steph, we'll take him. But, you know, just talking about Kyle Kuzma, will he make us better? No doubt.
No doubt. Speaking of Steph, another 60-point game and a loss in the league.
Seen that. Ooh,
that's
tough.
3 times we've seen 60-point games coming up in a big L. And the Warriors, boy, they lost back-to-back games. Memphis and Atlanta.
Can I say this, Scott? Yeah. I think if Steph Curry would have had 2 more seconds, they would have came out with a win because they were going back-to-back, shot for shot. Yes. When they double-teamed Steph Curry and he split the screen and went to the free throw line and gave him the little floater, it just let LA have a little more time left. I was like, ooh, it's too early. So when he got the ball back, he only had something like 2 seconds left, and he was right there at half court.
No doubt. That was an amazing game. The Warriors have had a lot of amazing games. They've been on the opposite side of it. The Warriors just can't get above water right now. All right, back to the phone lines. Ashley, welcome into Game Night. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing all right. And in terms of, like, what moves what I think needs to be made, honestly, at first I was, like, to start off the season, I was happy to run it back. HB started slow, and I definitely felt like we needed to move him on. But after his resurgence lately, I honestly don't know that we do need to make moves. And I feel like it would be a little bit premature. I've kind of like the thought process to give us a second playoff series under our belt to see really what needs to be done. Yep. But, you know, when Harrison Barnes wasn't looking like he did last year, it was concerning to me. And it was like, okay, maybe I'd be okay with a Kuzma trade, or I could get behind a Jeremy Grant trade. But at the same time, it really does come down to what compensation we'll have to offer back, because those guys are going to come with a pretty decent price tag. And so I think at the moment, I'd like to stand pat. I don't think that we need to do anything at the moment.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. And I think a lot of people are starting to feel that way. It's funny, the ebbs and flows, because 2 weeks ago, we have to make a move. The Kings have to do something. Right now, it's kind of like, I don't know if we really need to do anything or not. And I think the thing we have to keep in the big picture of things, and again, I'm not speaking for Monty McNair, of course, but he's got a big picture. So he knows what's on the table. And so he's looking at it in the big picture. Can he make a deal that he thinks will make the Kings better in the big picture? For example, a couple of years ago, nobody, and I mean nobody, thought Tyrese Halliburton would be traded. He was non-tradable, right? He was Keegan Murray 2 years ago.
Of course.
And then he was moved. Well, in the big picture, the combination of Sabonis with Fox, a better fit than Halliburton and Fox together, because you see what Halliburton's doing in Indy. You see what Sabonis is doing here with Fox in Sacramento. So if there's a trade out there, who knows what could happen?
You know, when you trade big time players like that, it's almost like you don't know those teams are willing to get off of those players. We had heard the grumblings between, with Indiana, who were they going to keep? Because it was about who they were going to keep, Sabonis or Turner.
Right.
So no one knew if they had pulled the trigger on that, right?
Yep.
So, of course, when you look at Tyrese, you're like, oh, no, the dude's untradeable.
Yep.
But all of a sudden, Sabonis' name popped up, and it was like, whoa.
Yeah, different story.
Kind of like the situation in Milwaukee. They wasn't trying to trade Holiday.
No.
They was fine with him until Dame Lillard's name popped up. Like, oh, wait a minute now. That's something different that we were ready to move on. So I think that's where the Kings are right now. If you ask me, okay, if you're going to stay pat and just say we're going to spin the block, I would like to make one little tweak. I think Matisse Thybulle would really help this basketball club.
A lengthy defensive forward.
Yes, to where you could play him 2 or 3, and he would really come in here and help this team. And probably wouldn't cost you a whole lot of arm and a leg.
No, that wouldn't be that expensive. All right, well, the trade deadline is Thursday. We'll see what happens. A lot going on. And, of course, for the Kings trying to finish out this 7-game road trip with their 6th win. Obviously, it's not going to be easy in Cleveland. 2nd game of the year between these two teams. The Kings won the first one. They had 4 players score 20-plus in the win here. That's something that happened on Saturday night. For the 4th time, the Kings had 4 players 20-plus.
Yeah, I mean, Scott, that's what we were looking for from this basketball team. Last year, number 1 offense in the league, and being able to generate 30 points a quarter was the goal for this team.
Mm-hmm.
We said if they can find a way to get 30 points each quarter, they'll pretty much be able to outrun and have more legs than any other team in the league. Well, the league stepped it up also. So 30 points a quarter just isn't going to get it. And that's where Mike Brown has been preaching from the beginning. Early on when the Kings had this high octane, high energetic offense, yes, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to outscore everybody. We're going to be able to get 120 plus, and that should do it. Well, that's not getting it now.
No. What is it? There's 6 or 7 teams in the league that are at a higher offensive rate than the Kings were last year.
Exactly.
It's unbelievable.
So that's not getting it done now. And all of a sudden, your offensive ceiling is going to stop after a while. Now, and I honestly think the Kings are very close to their offensive ceiling. But now what you have to do to win a basketball game, well, you got to look back at that D.
Yep.
And that's what Coach Brown has been preaching all along. Your offense can be great, but in order for this team to move from good to great, your defense got to go up.
No question. And it's improving, still top 20 in the league, which is better.
Yes, better
than it was last year. Not great. Better.
Right.
Better.
To where you're a good team.
Yes. All right. We got to take the break. When we come back, we're going to go around the league. I want to get your thoughts on Doc Rivers. He goes 0 for 2 to start in Milwaukee, and his reward, he's the All-Star game coach now in the Eastern Conference. We'll talk about that. And of course, bad news on the Joel Embiid front. Undergoing procedure. He's going to miss several weeks in Philly. What will that mean for the 76ers? That and a lot more. If you want to call in 916-339-1140, join us in our chat room. Good discussions during the break there. Go to YouTube, sign in to Sactown Sports. More of Game Night coming your way right here. Sactown Sports 1140.
All right. We are back on YouTube. And, so something that was interesting that you guys brought up, because it was a combination of the Steph scoring 60 points in a loss, and then at the end you brought up like 7 teams of a higher offensive rating than the Kings did last year. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because for years there's been this hypothesis that eventually we're going to get to the point where offense is going to continue to increase to a point where people are going to get annoyed by how much the offense or all the records are getting broken and how much offense is taking over the game and things like that. And I think we're starting to get close to that plateau. We're starting to get real close to that point where people are annoyed by, records getting broken and offensive efficiency numbers breaking all-time numbers. We're getting real close to that point here.
You think so? Is that your hypothesis?
It seems like it because, Henry talked about there might be a ceiling on what offense is going to be. There's not a lot of evidence that says this isn't going to keep increasing exponentially as the years go on.
Exponentially?
If you consider this being an exponential growth.
Exponentially would be like 200 points a game or something like that.
We're going to continue to see dramatic increases the way that we've seen, where I think now 35 of the 38 highest efficiency rating teams of all time are within the last 4 years.
Don't you think fans prefer that?
Depends, because at a certain point, people are going to look at like, well, all these records are getting broken and records aren't standing the way that they used to. And at a certain point, they're probably going to change the rules or change the dimensions of the court to probably adjust back a little bit.
Now that's interesting. The court's 94 by 50. It's the same court size as college basketball is. I've always thought college basketball is a little congested and the rules are different. They allow hand checks, all that type of stuff. I like the NBA game better personally. You have any thoughts on that, Henry?
Changing the size of the court, no.
And the reason they probably won't, because a lot of arenas can't even change the court size.
Here's the deal.
Yeah.
If you want,
but that would only help scoring if they did that.
I don't think the NBA wants to stop the scoring. I
don't
mean,
either.
I think they want the scoring to go higher and higher.
I agree with you completely.
But let's say, for example, if they did say, okay, we want to make it harder for teams to score. And if you really wanted to change the game, raise the buckets.
Oh, that's an idea too. Yeah.
To 11 feet?
Raise the bucket.
10-6?
Yep. Raise the bucket. And see, that's going to change everything. Of course, for guys to be able to play over the rim.
Yep.
Number one. Number two, now all these long range jump shots that guys are throwing up from half court, you got to seriously change your jump shot now.
No question.
And that's for everybody.
Yeah. Well, and what about moving back the 3-point line? That would be another thing. You couldn't do it in the corner. Or maybe you don't count the corner three. Possibly you only have the 3-point line.
That's the idea of extending the court. You can't really move it back without extending the court.
I was about to say, because moving it back really doesn't stop you from scoring.
Not for a lot of these guys,
because you still can score.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, raise it up an inch or two.
Yeah,
that changes the whole trajectory.
Even a half an inch would be a dramatic shift. But it's interesting to see what it'll look like over the years, because there's no evidence that says the offensive ratings are going to stop at a certain point. They should keep going up.
Yeah, agreed.
Pass from Pierre on Fox. KHTKAM Sacramento. KYMX HD2 Sacramento.
Sactown Sports.
Welcome back to the game night right here, Sactown Sports 1140. Scott Marshall on with the High Flyer, Henry Turner, taking you until 3:30 today. Kings Live pregame coming up at the bottom of the hour. 4 o'clock tip. G-Man in Cleveland, ready to call all the action. Two teams that are playing great basketball right now. The Kings are 29-19. The Cavs are 31-16. Sacramento's winners of 6 of their last 7. Cleveland 13 of their last 14. Some people think Donovan Mitchell's moved himself into a possible MVP conversation. We'll get into. I know you agree with that. We'll get into that in the next segment. Let's go around the league. Something that just kind of blows your mind a little bit. Of course, Doc Rivers coming in, new head coach of the Bucks, and that's fine. He's got the experience, and whether Adrian Griffin is fair or not, it's the NBA. It's not about what's fair. But this seems to be a little bit ridiculous because Boston's Joe Mazzulla was the head coach of the All-Star team last year. Boston has the best record. He can't be the Eastern coach All-Star coach again. So it falls to the next place team. That is Milwaukee, currently in second. So Doc Rivers, despite being there for 3 games with a 1-2 record, he all of a sudden becomes the All-Star coach. And, we joke around about the players and how it's voted on. And obviously we're not happy here in Sacramento, the coaches leaving off Fox and Sabonis, but this is the biggest joke. And I know it's coaches, not player. It's a little bit different, but there's no way that Doc Rivers should be coaching the Eastern Conference All-Stars. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Scott, it is what it is, bro.
I hear you.
It is what it is. I mean, we think a lot of things that didn't happen about this All-Star weekend is ridiculous, ludicrous, and straight just crazy.
Yeah.
All right. But we have to swallow it. Everybody else has to swallow it. It is what it is.
And I'm with you. But I mean, if they institute you've got to play 65 games to make the All-ABA teams, don't you have to coach?
How many games you got to coach?
Yeah, don't you have to at least coach 5 games to be the All-Star coach? I mean, should there be some rule for this?
I'm with you, man. I'm with you on that. But, hey, some guys just fall into a great situation, don't they?
But I mean, for example, you could look at JB Bickerstaff and the Cavs, who are in 3rd place. They have less losses. This guy probably well more deserving to be the All-Star coach if you're going to move down the roster, down the list of coaches.
Bro, I honestly felt like it shouldn't have went to the team with the next best record. I mean, I understand how the league does it, but I might have said, okay, it goes to next coach in the East who probably is going to be looked at for, coach of the year honors. But, the leagues have their rules and they follow them.
In the big picture of life, it's not worth getting that worked up about. And to Doc Rivers' credit, as you mentioned during our YouTube chat, his quote was, "This is ridiculously bad. It really is." Well, Adrian's going to get some money, referring to Adrian Griffin, that's for sure, in a ring. It's one of those quirky things. I think there should be a rule somehow that someone else does it other than me. So even he acknowledges that he shouldn't be there.
Right. And like I said, classy thing. He said he's going to give him a ring. He said he's going to give him the bonus. And, and rightfully so. If Doc Rivers understands the totality of it, first of all, you don't want to see another coach lose their job before the All-Star break. No. And really, has he done a horrible job? I don't think so.
Obviously, he put them in a place so that the coach comes from his team in the All-Star game.
Right. I don't think so. But, did they give him a very short leash or what? Well, he's only coached, 2 years for them? A year and a half?
This was his first year.
Oh, the first. Come on. Ooh-wee.
They're paying 3 coaches right now with Budenholzer, who they let go at the end of the year last year.
I thought, okay. Wow, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
I mean, to get off of him that fast, that just goes to show right there.
It's a players' league, right?
Yes, it really tells me what's going on. Besides being a players' league, it really tells you who's running that team.
Yeah, and it's Giannis.
Of course.
Yeah, there's no doubt. All right, 76ers, Joel Embiid undergoing a procedure to address a left meniscus injury, that coming in the Golden State game when Kamiga fell on his left leg. He was already banged up. He didn't look good going into that game. There were some people kind of thinking maybe he should not have played in that game. He was medically cleared, and then this unfortunate incident happens. And for Embiid, we don't know when he's coming back, and you just absolutely hate this one because he's having a repeat MVP type year. The Sixers are right in the thick of things. So much going on for that team. How do you think overall Philadelphia will survive without Embiid for a period of time?
Scott, you can't point the finger at nobody in this situation because, number one, he got cleared to play.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. Number 2, he stepped out on the floor. All right. Number 3, no one has any type of crystal ball to where you say, that Joel Embiid is going to fall down on the ground and some other player is going to fall on his knee and is going to be injured.
Nope.
It's just freak accidents, and it's just accidents that happens in the league every year. So, it's just one of those things, but how are they going to survive without him?
Yeah, bigger question.
Their
more 50-point games from Maxey, maybe?
Yes, Maxey is going to have to be Herculean. Tobias Harris, you've been all-star caliber, you have to step your game up. They got a couple more players on that team.
Mo Bamba's going to have to play big.
Mo Bamba, you're going to have to do what you got to do. My man Kelly Oubre, step your game up, boy. It's other players that's going to have to give you more than what they've had early on. And I think it gives those guys more opportunities now. Like I say, Scott, I always try to take a negative and try to flip it to a positive. What the big fella means to that team. What he brings. Yeah. Now, you have other guys to where, all right, now, y'all always say you're good. Now you get a chance to step in here and show me what you can do. So it's going to open the door for some other players.
No, it is. But certainly with Philly trying to hold on to a top 4 spot, they've already fallen behind the Cavs. The Knicks, the Pacers are moving on up with Tyrese back. The Magic are playing well. The Heat suffer.
Oh, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them to stay in the top 6.
It's really going to be tough. That's what I said. Yeah. For those other guys, you have to show this organization what you're made out of.
No question. All right, we'll take a look back at some of the games. Highlights from last night. The Suns, it's not a highlight when you go into Washington and beat the Wiz. That's expected. But Bradley Beal going back to his stomping grounds and putting up a 43-point game last night in the Capitol.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean to tell me Bradley, I'm soft Bill. I can barely play. All of a sudden goes back to Washington and say, let me give him 43.
Yeah.
Do you still think that players really feel it when
they
go back
to care when they go home.
Yes.
They don't care.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Let's see here. Celtics blowing out the Grizzlies after they'd lost 3 at home, which was uncharacteristic for them, 131-91. Pacers back 115-99 over the Hornets. Your man Pascal
Siakam
25-8-9. The Clippers rolling on the road. They beat the Heat in Miami. Kawhi Leonard, 25-11. The T-Wolves over the Rockets, 111-90. They still have the best record in the Western Conference, right up there with OKC. Speaking of the Thunder, they won in double overtime last night. That was a thriller against the Raptors, 135-127. The Jazz beating the Bucks. Milwaukee losing again under Doc Rivers, still early. But I tell you what, the Jazz, they've really stepped things up. They're playing good ball right now. They're right around 500. They're 16-7 at home. This is a team that really is surprising me of late.
I think the Jazz is a team that's really trying to step their game up because they got tons of picks. I think they got a very good young core, and I think they're developing guys, Scott. They understand that they're not going to be in the championship race. They understand how tough the Wild Wild West is. Yeah. Even for them to make a playoff berth, it's going to be very hard for that basketball team. But I'll tell you what, you throw some young players out there and you put them in the mix and you say, okay, fellas, show me what you got, because next year we're going to have to make some moves because we want to be right back into that spot.
No doubt. All right, tonight's game, Lakers coming off wins in Boston and New York, 2 Gardens. Now they go to Charlotte. That was an amazing win on Thursday, by the way, to go into Boston and win without LeBron and AD.
Yeah, it was. For those guys to be able to come together and make it happen. Now, we knew in New York that LeBron and AD were going to bounce back and be like, okay, let's show New York. I mean, the Mecca is what it is, Scott. Everybody wants to go to the Garden and play well. So for them to be able to go to Boston first and get that one, that was huge. That was the complimentary players. That was huge. That was a extra effort type situation, but you knew they were going to come out and ball in New York.
Yeah, they did indeed. All right, other games, Warriors at the Nets tonight, Clips in Atlanta, Raptors in New Orleans. All right, when we come back, we're going to look at Kings and Cavs. We'll break it all down, but first let's go to the phone lines. Our good friend Tin, welcome into Game Night. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Scott Barnes, welcome back from UC Davis.
Thank you, buddy. What's going on?
Yeah, I have a theory. I have a theory about the All-Star snubs for Sacramento.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, man. So the NBA is trying to paint a picture that the Kings are underdog, man. When the Kings win the final, they're going to be like, none of the, players made it, to, the main event. But, this is giving them more fuel, for their fire, for their road to the victory, man.
Yeah, no,
we don't need the All-Star.
I hear you on that, Tin. Thank you for the call. And no doubt that the Kings are, this is, as you said, a few more chips on the shoulder. It can only motivate Fox and Sabonis, right?
I tell you what, where's Philip from Galt? Philip from Galt always had a conspiracy theory of what's going on.
I don't know if it's a league conspiracy theory. It is a snub, though.
No doubt.
And here's the part here's the part I don't understand. It doesn't come down to the fan vote. Wasn't other players, it was other coaches in the league. You can make the spin that, okay, Big Caddy's on the winning team in Minnesota. Well, the Kings have a winning team also. AD, okay, I guess you can make a case. He's made 9 All-Stars, but how did the Lakers deserve 2 All-Stars and the Kings none?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't get that. If it's about winning and you put Cat on, then the same thing has to be, it's about winning and you don't put AD on, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's 2 people there that you could really, just straight argue on. And I think, the Karl Anthony Towns thing, definitely think that the AD, and I'm going to sprinkle Paul George in there too.
Oh, yeah. With the Clips the way they're playing?
Yeah. I'm like, okay. Yeah, you guys are playing nice, but De'Aaron numbers a little bit better, bro.
Yeah. All right, Game Night being brought to you by the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Sacramento. If you have a heart of service, you want to do something good in our community, perhaps mentoring a kid who could use an outside mentor is the thing for you to do in 2024. Give Big Brothers Big Sisters a call, 916-646-9300, or visit bbbs-sac.org to learn more about becoming a volunteer mentor. More of Game Night here, Sactown Sports 1140.
All right. More being upset about being snubbed for the All-Star game. I love it. It's going to sting all the way until...
It should.
Yeah, the Sabonis one is pretty atrocious, but
Fox isn't much worse. I do think Sabonis is the one of the 2 that makes me more upset, but Fox is equally deserving.
Yeah, I get it. I'm not going so far as to push Anthony Davis off the team because I think Anthony Davis should be starting in the All-Star game, but that's okay.
Why do you say that?
Because he's third in the league in rebounds. He's averaging 25 points a game.
Sabonis is first in the league in rebounds.
And Anthony Davis is playing all NBA defense.
On a sub 500 team?
The one that I think would stink more is that LeBron is starting and Anthony Davis isn't. But I think
between those two, LeBron deserves to be on the team more than AD.
Now we have a conversation, don't we?
I think he does. What do you think, Henry? If you had to choose one Laker, which one do you think? I think it's LeBron.
Come on, man. I mean, as good as AD is,
yeah,
that's like saying, okay, if somebody else was balling out in Golden State, you're going to always take Steph. I don't care who's balling out for the Lakers. LeBron's the king. He's the face of the league. He's going to be there.
In my mind, it's not an either or point. Both of them deserve to be an all-star, and Sabonis should be in there. The one that you hit on is Karl Anthony Towns. Like, one, he's not even the second best player on his team, and two, they just put him in to put two from the Timberwolves.
You could have easily put Gobert there.
Yeah, exactly. Right? It was just, personal preference, I guess, in that sense. But, yep, that's kind of what ended up happening there. I also like people were calling the Lakers the landscapers because they won in the Boston Garden and the Madison Square Garden. So they're, winning in the gardens this weekend.
All right.
Oh, that's digging deep, man.
Yeah, that's out there.
I mean, that's digging deep.
That's out. What else have we got going on in the chat right now?
Some people were talking to me about my point about the expanding the court a little bit. Yeah. Let's see what else we got going on there. Yeah, and a lot of people upset about Karl Anthony Towns getting in the All-Star game over Domantas Sabonis, which is fine. Since we have a minute left, I thought the Doc Rivers thing was you touched on a great point that I hadn't thought of. Just let Bickerstaff coach the All-Star team.
Why not? He's more deserving.
Yeah, Budenholzer did it 2 years ago.
All
Doc
that had
did
to be
it.
done is Doc Rivers could have said, "I am not going to do it." He could have easily said that. Now, maybe that would have created some league-wide problems. I don't know, but I think Doc is classy. He recognized he doesn't deserve to be there. Everybody knows he doesn't deserve to be there. He simply just could have said, you know what? I'm going to pass on coaching it. You go one more down, and you put Bickerstaff out there.
And here's the deal. I can understand if Doc has never coached an all-star game before. I mean, the dude was a staple for a minute. So
he coached it 3 years ago with the Sixers.
That's what I'm saying. He was a staple for a minute. So, I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Everyone can work, stream, and game all at the same time. The future starts now.
Welcome back into Game Night right here, Sactown Sports, 11:40 final segment for you coming up at the bottom of the hour. It's Kings Live pregame. Jason Ross here with the high flyer for that. G-Man joins in. G-Man will have the call tonight, 4 o'clock tip at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in Cleveland. As the Kings looking to finish out this road trip with a historic 6 wins on a 7-game road trip. Unbelievable the job they've done on this trip. Regardless, win or loss, it's been a great, great road trip for the Kings.
Oh, no doubt. All the way up until now, Scott. This road trip for the Kings, I feel, has been just what the doctor ordered. We struggled early on, losing 4 in a row, and then bounced back and got a game, and then had to hit the road for this long road trip. So, gave those guys a chance to dig deep, galvanize, get back together, and start playing good basketball. So to end up right now, I mean, we're 5-1 right now. We can come home 6-1 is great, but 5-1, I'll still take it. If I'm 5-2, I'll still take it.
No doubt. And for me, obviously, I want to see them win tonight.
Right.
I tell you what, I'm more concerned about Wednesday's game against Detroit than I am tonight, because again, a lot of times it feels like that first game after a long road trip, you struggle. We've seen the Kings, they have struggled against lower Eastern Conference opponents. I mean, of the 2 games, they got to get Wednesday night.
Here's my thing, Scott. We're trying to get to great.
Yep.
And from good to great, you don't have very much room for error. Okay?
Yep.
So to go into Cleveland and win tonight will put you in a situation to where you're trying to do great things.
Oh, yeah.
To come back to Sacramento and get dumped by Detroit.
Yeah.
That's not greatness.
You're right.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. You want to get this one tonight. And even if you don't get it, when you come back home, you give Detroit the business.
You got to beat Detroit.
Yes.
Yeah. Although, I mean, we've seen Detroit to beat Oklahoma City at home, for example.
Bro,
so,
I'm not slighting Detroit at
I know
all. All I'm saying is that Kings, you're on the road, you're coming back home. Okay, so what? You're back home. This is where you live. You should feel good.
Yep.
and you have a game. You come back and you start your home dominance once again.
All right, fair enough. Let's get to the injury reports brought to you by the Arnold Law Firm, providing justice for you since 1975. If you're injured, call the Arnold Law Firm, 916-777-7777. For the Kings, Sasha Vezenkov still out with that ankle. Hopefully he's going to get back soon. For the Cavs tonight, Jared Allen, and this is a huge one. If he can't go, he turned that ankle. He's played like an all-star. We haven't talked about him a lot, but he's been equally as good for them. Also out, Tristan Thompson serving that 25-game suspension for the unfortunate. Yes. Okay. We'll move on from there. Your thoughts on tonight, obviously with the Cavs playing so well and Donovan Mitchell as dominant as he is. What do the Kings need to do to get the sweep?
Okay. I think a lot depends upon if they have the services of J.A. or not.
Yep.
You know, if the big man is going to be in the middle, I think that changes a whole lot of what the Sacramento Kings are going to do. If he isn't there, I think the mantra should be the same as the first game out. Start in the middle, see what Sabonis can do. If he can have an advantage of those guys down low, ride him early and often. If he can get it going, fine. And then you spray the ball out to the outside. You can get jump shots, whatever you want. Keep the pace up because that's what you do. Play Kings basketball, but work the ball, Scott, from the inside to the out.
Yep, no doubt. And with Sabonis, another double-double and perhaps a triple-double, another triple-double for him. All right, game night brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. Check out their full line of luxury vehicles at mbofstockton.com. For the Kings, it would be amazing for them to go in tonight and get this win on Cleveland. You talk about a cherry on top of
no
Sunday.
doubt.
It would be incredible to get this one.
Yes, need this game to today. You know, can make up for one of those oopsies that you had early on in the season.
All right, that's going to do it for game night. Our thanks to the High Flyer. He'll stay with Jason Ross. Tip tonight, 4 o'clock in Cleveland. Game night's been brought to you by Power Business Technology. Experience how the Power family can help your business office equipment needs. Contact them 844-POWER-BZ or go to powercopiers.com. Kings Live pregame coming up next. Keep it tuned all evening long. Sacramento Kings basketball right here on Sactown Sports 1140.
Jiffy Lube, a proud partner of Sactown Sports, is sending Styles and Watkins on the road to Las Vegas. Starting Wednesday from 10 to 2, join